Are you ready to do an Avengers movie?
Yes.
Do you know anything? Is there anything that
But I'm
between me and you?
Yeah, just between you and I.
Yeah.
Just trust this. I will be a contributing editor. As I feel as much as I am Tony Stark, I'm also a board member at Marvel.
Whether they know it or not.
Long before there was an idea called the Avengers Initiative, they were a group of actors whose lives were about to change.
It's a giant commitment. You know, 6 pictures can last 10 years.
So is that 3 Captain America and then 3 Avengers?
3 Avengers, exactly.
Years before a group of remarkable people were brought together, they were just trying to get through their first movies.
Yeah. How do you not walk down the street and go like, hey, I'm Thor?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's sort of, you either are that way or you're not.
And in a time before they fought the battles that we never could, they were fighting amongst themselves about who was the better actor.
And then all of a sudden the movie came out and I was like, you stole the whole movie, you bastard.
That's how Bruce Banner was feeling, though, I realized. He was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing? I didn't steal the movie. She's just being nice to me.
Avengers Endgame hitting theaters this year marks the end of an era. A story that took more than a decade to tell, that spans 21 different films, and it's grossed more than $18 billion at the worldwide box office, is coming to an end. But before we fell in love with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel, there was the original team. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, and the Hulk. And as we prepare for the end, I look back at some priceless early interviews with a cast of superheroes on the cusp of superstardom. And the dumb kid who was lucky enough to be there at the beginning.
Mr. Stark, you've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
It's hard to remember a time when Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the worldwide megastar he is today. But before 2008, Downey was in a stage of career rebuilding, which reached its final stage of construction when he was cast as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. And that's when the first pieces of the Avengers began to assemble, and the fanatic fandom for what would be called the Marvel Cinematic Universe was born.
Do you find yourself geeking out for movies like this?
I'm kind of the same way. It would be, look, I'm 45, all right? You still have an excuse. But I get it, you know, and there's a kind of an uncontainable excitement about Iron Man for me, the whole deal, and it started from well before I even had the job.
After a failed attempt at bringing Edward Norton onto the team in 2008, we won't talk about that. The God of Thunder was up next in 2011. Unknown Australian actor Chris Hemsworth was at the time best known for his brief opening scene in the J.J. Abrams reboot of Star Trek, but would soon embody the role of Thor and endure a lifetime of nerds trying to play stupid hammer games with him.
You hold on to it as tight as you can.
And then you take it, or you try to. All right, sure.
There you go, my friend.
Okay, so.
Right. Get into character.
I'm gonna grip this thing pretty well, though, so you're gonna have to.
As you should. I'm using all my Thor strength.
Okay. Succeeded, mate. No, look at that. Well done. Good for you. Rather humiliating for me, though, since I was supposed to be some kind of god.
The next addition to the Avengers would be the first Avenger. While Chris Evans had already dipped his toe into the Marvel pool, playing the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four, he was then tapped to take on the role of Steve Rogers, Captain America, for the 2011 blockbuster.
Did people treat you any differently before you got the role versus after you got the role?
The people close to me treated me with kid gloves. You
Right.
know what I mean? I was so apprehensive about taking the job. When I finally accepted it, you know, I had a lot of people in my life, you know, throughout the filmmaking process. One of the standard questions was, "How you doing? You okay? You okay? You all right? You okay?"
The final film of Marvel's Phase 1 would be their most ambitious of all, bringing together all of these solo heroes for the giant ensemble extravaganza, The Avengers, a collection of familiar faces and one not so familiar. Mark Ruffalo would join the team in 2012 as the not-so-jolly green giant, the Hulk. Luckily, he had Marvel veteran Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, to help him out.
What would you say is the biggest advantage that he has by being new, and what's the biggest advantage that she has by having been here before?
I had the advantage that I had her to kind of show me the ropes. She was very at ease. I was very nervous, And
yes, I mean,
wasn't I?
Actually, you were so nervous, like a disaster.
From there, the Marvel Cinematic Universe would grow beyond anything anyone could have ever imagined. But it all began here. They say part of the journey is the end. And now the end is here. And as many of the original members of the Avengers prepare to walk away from the Marvel Cinematic Universe forever, I think back to something Downey once told me about the end and what it means to walk away a hero. Whatever it takes.
Like whenever you're done and you say, you know what, no more Tony Stark for me, how do you want your story arc to end?
I think more important than the arc, because that always kind of winds up being what it's supposed to be, is I just want people to feel, you know what, I appreciate that he didn't try to drag it out too long, but I also don't want to feel like he ditched us when we needed him. It's a really delicate thing.
It is, for sure. I'm getting all emotional even just thinking about it.
I'm crying.
Is it cool if I take a picture with you?
Yes, it's very cool.